Your search is over again. If you want a list of amazing single-player games, well, this is it. In this video, we're going to be covering 27 best single-player games that you can play right now. And these are the games that are primarily focusing on a single-player experience, without any multiplayer. And to not waste your time even more, every single game will be included right here, and the timestamps, and in the description down below. And starting with number 1, we're gonna start with Hades. Hades is an isometric roguelike game where your goal is, well, to live Hades. You're playing as Zagreus, the son of Hades himself, and your goal is to live realm of Hades. I know it sounds convoluted, but it's not as complex as you think. This is one of few games that uses death mechanic as the mechanics of the game. So you will not feel bad when you're dying, because every time you die, you unlock something different, and every time it will be something good and something amazing. And there's the must-play experience, especially with this amazing art style. But instead of living hell, you want to destroy it, well, then there is Doom. Both Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are amazing single-player experiences and a very faithful recreation of the same feeling that we had in original Dooms. Game is fast, game is gory, game is brutal, and with this amazing soundtrack, game is a must-play for everyone who wants to experience these single-player masterpieces. Both masterpieces. But if instead of destroying everyone in hell, you want to play as a guy who, well, defeated hell multiple times, well, you can go with God of War. All God of War games are amazing single-player experiences, but the latest one, of course, the biggest ones. Play in the earlier years of Kratos with the original God of War trilogy, or play Dad of War duology where Kratos is dad, and start killing everyone in Midgard and not in Greece. Original trilogy and duology are quite different, but it's an amazing experience nonetheless that you must go through. So speaking of Theme of Hell and Underground, there's also Hollow Knight. Well, it's much less hellish and more depressing, but still. Hollow Knight is an amazing 2D side-scroller and a platformer that gives you a very just melancholic and yet very pleasant feeling when you go through this game. Complete amazing puzzles, go through amazing bosses, and, well, complete this masterpiece even if you don't like platformers. Because, yeah, this game is charming as hell. No pun intended. But instead of going into mythological hell or, like, underground, you want to go into literal hell on earth, well, you could go with Batman Arkham series. Because Gotham in those games is not fun place to live in. All of the Arkham games are amazing and are one of the best superhero games for a reason. Yet, even though Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are still the pinnacle and Arkham Knight is, well, meh at best, is not as good, they're all amazing games that you should experience. Especially if you are in love with the Cape Crusader. Well, in love as a character, not directly, personally. And if you want to be a Batman, but instead of Gotham, you want to be in, well, ancient Greece or Egypt or even England, you can go with Assassin's Creed RPG series. But I would still recommend Origins and Odyssey over Valhalla. Yes, despite this game being way too big and way too grindy, this world building in this game actually makes it worth to grind through and play through these games. It's amazing how great of a recreation these games are doing of ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. And if your history buff is special of an ancient Greece just like me, you're gonna love it, because this recreation is simply stunning, especially with separate modes that allows you to just recreate these historical sites and even compare it to their modern day counterparts. And instead of ancient Greece and Egypt, you prefer to swing in a modern day New York City, well, there is of course Spiderman games. Those games are one of the best Spiderman games and gives you an intense feeling of thrill swinging through the New York City. And also with surprisingly good story and very great characters, this game is one of the most faithful recreation of comic books. And yes, if you love Spider-Man as a character, this is it. But for now, let's leave Earth. Let's go to the other worlds, to Outer Worlds. And Outer Worlds is an amazing RPG experience as well. Even though it's not as massive as Fallout as it was supposed to replace, it's still pretty good experience. Very narrow, quite small, quite contained, but pretty pleasant experience nonetheless. And if you like Bethesda-like games like Fallout, this game will actually fill this void for you, even though maybe not for long, but it still will nonetheless. And speaking of Fallout, next is of course Fallout series. All single-player Fallout games are great. Well, it's at least the latest one, 3 in New Vegas and 4. Fallout 3 is a little bit outdated, it's still an amazing experience. Travel into post-apocalyptic retro-futuristic US and survive in a wasteland. Because yeah, what other thing that can you do when everything is trying to kill you? And if you prefer something more fantasy setting, well, of course, there's Elder Scrolls. Skyrim is one of the most iconic single-player RPG games, and yeah, if you thought that it would not be in this list, yeah, you were wrong. And yeah, this game does not require an introduction because it's almost in every list. But I want to give a shout out also to my boy Oblivion, because for me, story-wise, Oblivion is better, because there are far more interesting quests and far more interesting encounters compared to Skyrim, even though Skyrim is great. And speaking of great story, if you want fantasy setting with a great story, story, well, of course, there's Witcher 3 and Witcher 2 as well, to be fair. Those games are simply amazing. And if you would watch only TV shows, yeah, don't watch TV shows. They just suck. Play the game instead. Witcher games give you control of the Geralt, the Witcher, and your goal is to, well, hunt different monsters and also do a bunch of different things. And this bunch of different things is mainly involving yourself into political matters of the continent. And weirdly enough, fantasy politics are far more interesting than I have ever thought. But instead of a medieval fantasy setting, you prefer more of a Victorian fantasy political setting, then you can go with Dishonored. Even though Dishonored is kind of less of a political game and more of a, well, kill people in a very different and very gruesome ways simulator, but yeah, it's still pretty amazing game with an ability to complete objectives in any way that you see fit, including pure stealth or pure mayhem, just going guns blazing and destroying everyone. This game allows you to play in whatever way you see fit, as long as you will complete the objective. And if you like Dishonored and want something like that but more in modern or rather futuristic setting, there's also Deus Ex Series, the series that has been often overlooked. But Deus Ex is kind of like a Dishonored but in a near futuristic setting, where instead of magic and like very demonic creatures, you have cybernetics. And yes, in that it's also looking like Cyberpunk 2077. But Deus Ex is actually much more deeper game, allowing you to complete objectives in very different and very creative ways, including by being complete pacifist. The game has very interesting augmenting system that allows you to become an absolute superhuman or just be as human as you can. And the world here is also very unique and amazing. And there is also one more game which world is unique and amazing. It's, well, Bioshock. All mainline Bioshock games, Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite, are amazing games. While first two games are happening in underwater city of Rupture, making it very claustrophobic and very like dense environment. The last game is happening in flying city of Columbia, which is, well, flying city, which gives you more open world and more wide open territories, which gives you air to breathe but still makes it no easier to play. All three games have amazing story and very great gameplay, giving you a chance to, well, immerse yourself with this very unique world. And speaking of unique world, there is one that is also, well, quite unique but can also be possible as well, and it's World of Metro series. Well, hopefully this will never happen, but in this game, well, World War III happened. World is destroyed and you're playing in, well, subway tunnels of Moscow Metro. But listen, the first two games. World is irradiated full of different mutants and people squalling with each other and, well, a lot of intrigue and a lot of bad things happening all around. All three games are insane feats, and yeah, even though first two games I kind of like a bit older and outdated, Metro Exodus is an amazing game that everyone must play, especially with its open environments and open world. All games are very good and very unique experiences that every single player lover should experience. But instead of near future, you prefer, well, distant past or more or less distant past, you can go with Ghost of Tsushima or Tsushima or however it's pronounced. Ghost of Tsushima is an amazing PlayStation exclusive that takes you into a period of feudal Japan, which is being invaded by Mongols. And you're playing in this beautiful open world with an amazing emphasis of Japanese art style. The game is not just a game to play, it's an experience to have. And this is probably one of the few games that makes PlayStation worth having. And instead of Eastern culture, you prefer more of a European culture of around the same time period, well, there is Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance is often dubbed as realistic Skyrim, and it's, well, kind of right, even though not entirely. This game looks very much like Skyrim, except if Skyrim was happening in the real world and there was no magic at all. You're playing in realistic medieval periods, and, well, this game is kind of like way too realistic in many cases. Game is tough, game is difficult, but also very interesting with an amazing story that you must go through. And game actually costs quite cheap as well, so this is the game that you must get. And if instead of past you prefer a little bit of present with a lot of intrigue and things like that, there's also Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs is kind of like an underrated gem that went under the radar, but it's also amazing, but it's also a very great game. Sleeping Dogs is like if in GTA you were playing as an undercover policeman instead of, well, criminal. And yeah, with an open world Hong Kong and with this undercover operations, this game is amazing, especially with its amazing hand-to-hand combat and takedown system. This game is like if GTA and Batman Arkham series had a kid, and this kid was growing up in Hong Kong. That's what this game is. And if this world is, well, pleasant for you, you can go with Yakuza Series. Yakuza Series is something similar in premise, but not really, but you're playing in Japan. That game, or the game series, you're playing in modern day Japan. And you're getting involved with Yakuza business. But the game game is also most known for its, well, other activities other than, well, main story, like playing bowling or even singing in karaoke. And yep, this game series is actually quite fun and interesting. And with a lot of entries, this game is also pretty long experience to have as well. And if you prefer some mayhem in your games, there's also Just Cause series. Especially Just Cause 2 and 3 are both amazing games. Giving you the control of Rico Rodriguez, your goal is to take down dictators all around the world. But second and third game are doing these things much better than first and fourth. A game as pure mayhem it's kind of like if GTA was even more off the rails, and your main goal was destruction of governmental property. That's what this game actually is. And game is quite fun in that. But now let's get to one of my favorite single player experiences, and this Mass Effect series. Yes, in this case, I'm gonna cram Andromeda there as well. Even though, yeah, it's not as good as Legendary Edition, but still, I'm gonna cram it there. Mass Effect is a beautiful space opera that every single player lover should experience. This game takes you in 23rd century and puts you in control of Commander Shepard when the galaxy is being invaded by Reapers, the all-killing machine race that wants to destroy everyone and everything. And in this case, for a reason. Stupid reason, but reason nonetheless. This game is amazing journey starting from the beginning of the first one and ending with the third one, and even with Andromeda. And if you haven't experienced this and you love sci-fi, you should go for it. Another sci-fi game that you should go for it is Horizon Series. Yes, Horizon Series takes you even further into the future where humanity is kind of gone and everyone is back into tribalistic societies. But the world is inhabited not by animals, like not by real animals, but robotic animals. And you are playing as Aloy, who's trying to uncover the secrets of the world. And uncover the secrets you will. Game has amazing open world and amazing combat system, which is very reminiscent of the Monster Hunter series. And will keep you entertained and busy for quite a while, especially if you're gonna play both games. But if you prefer a little bit more kinda scary experience, there's also Days Gone. Days Gone is not scary per se, but you're playing, well, after zombie apocalypse has happened already, or at least happened around you. And the key feature of this game is it's an open world, but the key feature is that the zombies here are traveling kind of like in hordes. So you're gonna have to fight kind of like hundreds of zombies at the same time, or just run away from them, because it's kind of like very difficult to fight hundreds of zombies at the same time with a limited amount of ammo, unless you have some kind of explosives that will destroy all of them all at once. But yeah, the game is actually quite fun and quite an underrated experience. Even though it's not the perfect game, it's a pretty great game nonetheless. If we are going talking about some Sony games, let's talk about Uncharted as well. All of the Uncharted games are amazing experiences if you like a real adventure. Play as Nathan Drake and uncover different ancient artifacts and find out that some of the myths of the world are actually true. On a path to that, also defeat a bunch of bad guys who are trying to find the same thing as well for the nefarious reasons. That's practically what it is in all of the games. But yeah, all of the adventures are actually absolutely worth it. And with pretty good third-person action elements as well. This game is quite an experience to have. And we talked about Sony exclusive, let's cram Nintendo exclusive as well. And it's, of course, Legend of Zelda games. Zelda games are a phenomenon in on by themselves. That's especially true with the latest Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, I know Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were also great as well. Yeah, there's no doubt in that. But most people will play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And these games are actually a great accomplishment, not because how great they are, but how they are able to make it great on a weak console, just like Nintendo Switch. With the giant open worlds and the fun gameplay, these games will keep you busy for really long time. Especially if you're gonna start building giant penises in Tears of the Kingdom. You know that you will do that. But if you're done with building such things and you want to build something that is useful, you can go with Subnautica. Subnautica is, in my opinion, the best survival game. And also one of few games that are doing underwater gameplay good. The game takes you on an alien planet which is covered in ocean. And your goal is to find a way out of there. And to find a way out of there, you need to, well, go venture deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in order to be able to build more and more and more and more and eventually to leave the planet. But also you'll start uncovering some secrets behind the planet, and those secrets are actually pretty interesting as well. In my opinion, this game is must play for every single player lover. And last but not least is probably one of my favorite games of all time, which is kind of not like a game but more of an experience, and it's Journey. And weirdly enough, I'm listening to soundtrack to Journey right now as I'm recording this video. Journey is literally kind of like experience. It's very little of a game, and in this game you actually only control a single creature or character, and your goal is to reach the top of a mountain. That's it. You have a little bit of a stealth mechanic and a little bit of puzzles, nothing insane, and entire game takes literally 1 hour to complete. But what's most amazing about this game is integration and multiplayer. You will literally meet other players doing the same thing as you are, but you will not be able to communicate with them except for making some random noises, and you will not be able to see who they are, what they do, until you will finish the game. And when you finish the game, you're gonna start the game again. And beauty of the game paired with a beautiful soundtrack makes this game must play for everyone. Especially because this game is even available on your iPhone. And I literally bought it on my iPhone as well to play this game like on the go, and you should too. Well, this was it. This was a single player game list. Yes, I know I haven't included a lot of single player games that are, well, deserving to be included here, because yeah, we have only 27 slots on here. And if you want me to include some more games, you can comment them in the description down below. And if this video will get around 200 likes, I'm going to be doing another list of best single player games. Of course, if you will want me to do that. Well, this will be what they think of being here with me. Like the video, if you like, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. See ya.